So then they meet the soldier. He's actually Swedish.
He's
a
Swedish character that doesn't know anything.
Yeah. Swedish people don't know anything.
We have such sights to show you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Four Dead Losers podcast. We're the Four Dead Losers. I'm Renito.
Adam.
Jordan.
Justin.
And today was Jordan's pick. Jordan, what movie are we watching today? Or what movie did we watch today?
No, we're watching it right now, actually. Live stream right now. Join us on Twitch.
We're illegally live streaming.
Adam's recording it on his iPhone.
Oh, yeah, the movie was recorded on iPhone.
That's very true.
Not Android. We saw 28 years later.
Wow, how exciting. Spooky. Non-spoiler thoughts. Adam, what'd you think of the movie?
Just when I thought that this franchise couldn't get any worse,
I knew it.
they released this movie and totally redeemed themselves.
Oh, shit.
It was actually pretty good. Non-spoiler thoughts. I honestly think this is what the people that really like the first movie think the first movie's like and are completely wrong. I think that's where I'm going with this.
You know, that's it. I agree with
that. I really think, like, with how high praise and all the deep things that they talked about the first movie, I'm like, that's literally this movie, except it's done better. So that's where I'm at with it. So that's my take on it, and I'll go more into depth later.
Okay. Rating out of 10?
It has its flaws still. And there's still some things that I would nitpick about. I would say it's probably a solid, I'd give it an 8.
An 8 out of 10?
Yeah,
It's pretty good. It's
I was
pretty
waiting
good.
for the 7 and I could feel it.
Jordan,
Average movie.
True. Jordan, this was your pick. Non-spoiler thoughts. What'd you think of the movie?
Just to be quick, it's my favorite of the franchise so far, pretty easily. I agree with what Adam said, and it's funny because I saw a lot of people who really were invested in this movie, or waiting for it, or really liked the first movie, who didn't like this one and were critiquing a lot about it. And I don't personally understand, but yeah, I really like this movie. The more I wanted to see it a second time, I'm gonna see it a second time. I just didn't get a chance before we filmed. But I feel like the more I sit on it, the more I like it. I've kind of been fluctuating with my rating, but
I agree 100%. I've been thinking about it a lot too.
With hopes that I don't regret this later. I'll leave a little runway for the sequel. I'm gonna give it a 9.
Damn.
9 out of 10. Pretty good. Justin, non-spoiler thoughts. What do you think of the movie?
It was a really weird movie. Like, it was very experimental and like it's like different kind of. Well, we'll get into it later, but yeah, it was good. I liked it. I did. I've been fluctuating with my rating too, and I'm sitting somewhere between like an 8 and an 8.5, but I think I'm gonna go with an 8.
With an 8, not 8.25?
I was gonna go. Actually, no, I was gonna say 8.25. I was like, yeah, but
I don't do it. 2.5.
I like that.
this will be the first. This is the first 8.25.
So you're saying Nosferatu's better than this movie? Ooh.
Well, it's hard.
Ooh.
No,
That's pretty easy for me, but
I don't
that's
know.
what your rating is saying, right?
I don't remember what I gave Nosferatu.
Did you give it a 10?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
give it a 10.
you're gross.
I wasn't. Oh, no.
I don't think you gave
I
it
didn't
a
give it
number.
anything. I think I gave it like around 8, 8.5. Same thing.
Okay, alright.
Yeah.
Non-spoiler thoughts for myself. I also really enjoyed this movie. We'll get into it once we get into the spoiler section of the video, but it definitely felt like before going into the movie, I had watched a few TikTok videos or whatever, and some people were saying that the movie, like the first third of it, has a very different feel from the second 2/3 of the movie. And so going in knowing that, I was like, oh, okay, you know what, I can get behind this. But had I not, I think I would have been like, what the fuck just happened? Like that total tone shift or whatever. But I thought it worked really well. I did enjoy this movie. Rating for myself, I'd probably give it like a 7 out of 10.
Yeah. Well, we all liked it.
Yeah, we did. I think this is one of the very few ones that we all liked so far this season.
Yeah.
So this is going to be your spoiler warning. We're going to go ahead and get into it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, spoilers. So the movie opening scene, it keeps up that whole like
Oh, that opening was crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, that was crazy. I was like, there's no way.
Yeah.
They did it. They did it.
The opening scared me a little bit. Like,
He was like,
one, it scared me. Two, I was like, I really liked the way it was executed, but filming style, I was a little worried that the whole film was going to look like that, and I feel like that would have brought it down for me. I feel like it had a similar, like, kind of lower quality thing that the first movie had.
It did. Yeah, I noticed
It felt more like indie filmed. And that part specifically was really, I feel like, artsy. Like, they were doing kaleidoscope effects.
Yeah,
and, like, there was really, but...
So basically what happens is the movie opens up and we see a TV that's showing the Teletubbies, and they're cramming a bunch of kids into this room. It's a bunch of little girls and one boy. They essentially what's going on outside of the room is the infections starting, right? Is that like everybody's screaming, everyone's like, what the heck is going on? So it's kind of I assumed that it's all the neighborhood kids or family or something like that they just shoved all the kids in the room and told them to be quiet. And so then there's a knock on the door, and then basically turns into banging at the door, right? And then that's when the infected comes in, and they start eating the fucking kids.
That's crazy.
That's like crazy. The little boy hides behind the door because I think he's the one who opened or was about to open
he's
it,
like
right?
listening
And it
to
just
it.
like slams open and
And he starts running throughout the house, and as he's running through the house, we see more infected come in and start eating the rest of the family.
His mom does what the main guy does in 28 Weeks, where his mom's like, run, and then closes the door on him.
Oh,
yeah. Closes the door on him because she gets
Well, I
attacked.
assume it's his mom.
Yeah, because she gets you're right. She gets attacked, and then she basically, her body is used to break down the door, right? And so she's looking up at him because he ran up the stairs, and then that's when she starts turning, and then he ends up, I think he jumps out of a window or something.
Wait. Never mind, we'll get into it later.
it felt very damn
Is this the same house that we see later?
I don't know.
Oh.
Because now that I'm thinking about the way the stairs are set up,
it looks like it.
I think it might be.
I think we see the church later also, and they
Oh, yeah.
both
that
have
makes
the name on
sense.
it. That's all. That just barely clicked to me. But
It might
I'm not sure.
I'm not. We'll get into that like at the very, very, very end
Yeah.
of the synopsis or plot
Yeah.
breakdown. But basically, little boy ends up like outside of the house. He runs to the church, which is like not. It's like next door, across the street, something like that. And you just see all the infected coming. Ooh, spooky.
The classic like running over the hill that every movie has. In the beginning.
Yeah.
That was so good.
It was good.
He runs into the church, closes the door behind him, and in the middle of the chapel is the priest, and he's praying, right? And we find out that the little boy, his name is Jimmy, I think.
Yeah, Jim.
That this is his dad. And so his dad's like, oh, it's the end times. We're about to be taken up. That kind of doomsday talk.
I know his dad's just letting it happen. Like,
Yeah.
Essentially, it's the second coming.
He gives the little boy a cross, right? A golden cross necklace. And then he hides like in the floor, right? Some kind of way to get down. Like almost as if like it's like a drainage pipe.
Yeah.
And then all the infected break into the church and they eat the dad.
Crazy.
It was really good. He's yelling. What does he say? Like, I forget what he.
Yes, my children.
Yeah, yes, my children, stuff like that. And he's infected, and then they all basically leave the church.
Something I want to point out, which I know we're gonna get. I don't know if we're gonna talk about it at the end or right now.
Well, Jimmy, that ends with Jimmy running in the field, like he's like takes off in the field,
Yeah.
and then he runs off into the sunset.
Yeah, with the one he gets given the I'm assuming it's a rosary or a necklace.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's I feel like rosaries look different.
I think it's
Yeah, it's just
But
necklace with the cross.
With that imagery, I also noticed when they first walk into the church, you have the dad praying there, and because the way a lot of people have been to churches, the way they hang the cross on the wall, the shadow of the cross is also upside down from the way we're watching it. So
all the intros have been good for every movie. Just saying. That at least the intro for every single one has been good.
There you go. Just give me all three intros.
Exactly. That's the whole movie right there.
Is this where we get like the sign, the 28 days later thing, or does that come in later?
Yeah, I think it's just like right after that, or 28 years later. Yeah.
I think then we get the 28 years.
Years.
Right. So basically, what happens with that is it's just like 28 weeks, where we get like the panini started. England has been locked down, but we do see a map and they show like the infected zone, which is essentially the entirety of mainland Britain and Scotland. And off the coast of France, there's a NATO base that's set up there.
So they're quarantined now, which kind of, I mean, essentially, I mean, it happens in chronological order, but it kind of retcons what happens at the end of 28 weeks.
You see, I heard people talk about that too, and I also, like, people were saying that in one of the trailers, they mentioned having to bomb Paris.
Yeah, that's what I remember hearing.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, essentially, at the end of 28 weeks, we see it spread. Here, it's back to being contained.
Mm-hmm.
And, again, like we saw in 28 weeks, how they're trying to, like, reincorporate it or whatever.
I don't think they are.
It seems like...
They're just trying to...
Well,
Yeah,
they're trying to rebuild civilization there, though. And at this point, in 28 weeks.
Oh.
Like, the military's there trying to intervene,
Yes.
and at this point, it seems like after that, they just gave up
Yeah.
and decided...
No, yeah.
Right.
Just keep
Essentially,
Yeah,
leave
not
them,
worth it.
they're left
Just
for
left,
dead,
yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, Left 4 Dead is a different game.
Oh, yeah.
With actual zombies. I'm like,
Oh,
no,
yeah, zombies, right. We basically start getting introduced into like one of the settings of this movie, which is like a small village or colony or something like that.
I might call it
They're Scottish,
colony,
right? Aren't they Scotland?
I don't know.
It
They're
gives
Disney
Tommy
Scotland.
vibes.
Yeah, it's
Like the
it's on an island. It's the Holy Land. It's actually a real island from what I've heard.
Yeah,
it's like
it
a
is.
real island with actual like real history from like that time and that like why it's called the Holy Land.
Yeah, all that's real. The walkway.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure it has that connection.
So basically, what they're talking about is that it's connected to the mainland by a land bridge that you could only get across during low tide. High tide, the land bridge is covered by water, and as it's going in between the two, the currents are too strong to walk across. So we get shots of I don't know the name of the actor, but it's the guy who plays Kick-Ass.
And Nosferatu, he's the guy in Nosferatu, the dad.
With the
With the two kids.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember his
I
name.
don't remember.
He plays
Did you know that? That's like your favorite movie.
That's really him?
Yes.
it's him.
He looks like the same in every movie.
Who, the main? We're talking about the main
The
dad?
dad, yeah. He's
He
the...
don't have the mustache. So
He
So
does
he doesn't have
mustache.
he has a beard and a mustache.
He has a beard and a mustache in this one.
he doesn't have a beard in Nosferatu.
But he has a mustache.
Oh, I didn't realize it was the same guy. I'm so confused now. Okay.
But it is Kick-Ass.
He's in Kick-Ass?
He's
Yeah.
Kick-Ass. He's the nerd. He's like the main guy. Yeah.
Bro. Okay, my brain's hurting.
Yeah. I remember when I made that too, I was like, this is not the same guy. I was like, this guy glowed up. That's
He
like,
was
this
young
is the
back then.
definition of glow up right here. I was like, dang.
So basically, it's him cooking breakfast, all that good stuff. We get a shot, and his name is Jamie in the movie. And then we get a shot of the who we could assume is his wife. I don't remember her name. Something with an I.
Isla.
I think it's
I think you're
Isla.
right. You're
With
right.
an S.
Isla.
Oh.
And she's sick. She's
Bedridden.
on bed rest. And then we get introduced to Spike, which is our kid. So basically, what's going on is that Jamie tells Spike, "Hey, get ready. We're gonna go to the mainland." And then he's like, "Okay, cool." And then Mom gets upset, like, "Why isn't he in school? We're gonna go to the mainland." And it's just kind of that.
Yeah.
We see an older man. I think his name is Sam. He gives Spike basically a bow and some arrows to help defend himself while he's out in the mainland.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a really big
It's
deal.
like a
And so
tradition.
as they're going to the gate, the entire town is basically cheering them on, right? Like, "Oh, you can do it!" Woo!
I think he's like the youngest too, right?
He is the youngest because
person
when we get to the gate, we learn that the age minimum to go to the mainland is 14.
He's 12.
And he's 12.
Which, I don't know why I assumed they were going for, like, resources or something. Not just, like, they're going just to, like, hunt for fun.
Well,
So,
I think
they're
they do for both because
Okay.
we'll get to it in a little bit, but when they get to the mainland, they have a clearing where they cut down trees.
Oh,
And he says that, and Jamie tells Spike that maybe one day you'll work here. So I'm assuming that's where they gather
They
like
do
firewood
yeah,
and
right.
stuff like
Yeah, they're called what is that job? Because at one point in the
Foragers.
movie, foragers. Yeah, at one point
See,
they
they're
have the
yeah.
different like the different jobs.
Communist the movie.
I will say, as we get into the next part of this, this is where I was very worried. Like it did my classic gripe for this series, where whenever Boyle gets into his own head of like, I gotta do 1,000 cuts. Like seriously, I know you noticed that. It was like literally
the
like
mom.
it literally
The
like.
mom scene. I
Yeah.
was like, that's crazy. It was
Yeah.
a lot of cuts.
But like you see the cut where they're just like walking and there's like, oh hey, oh hey, new person, hey, I was like, I literally leaned over to Ida. I'm like, I swear I'm like, this is it. I go, they could not get.
It tones down a lot. Like,
And, it does, and that's the point.
This guy straight up, he called me after he saw the movie. He goes, I almost fucking walked out because of all those cuts.
I told you, I said I would if I saw that many cuts again. I was like, what is this called? Cuts.
Which is funny because we during 28 weeks we joked about because we've all seen. I'm assuming most of us have seen the way they filmed with the iPhones.
Yeah.
We joked,
It's
he's gonna cut across all of them. And he
did.
cut across all of them.
I think they forgot, and they're just like, phone 1, phone 5,
Yeah.
7, 4, 6.
It's like live TV. He's just
It was a little disorienting because as they're going through honestly what ends up being maybe a minute of going through the entire town and getting to the gate and leaving the gate. I think it sets up the first tone of it, which is that almost I guess maybe I wouldn't say tension for him, but almost maybe the not tension, what's the word? Anxiety of having to be ready to go through that and go to the mainland. Because I think in his mind too, I don't think he was quite ready or willing to think that he was ready to go, even though he's a good shot. And that's when they started playing to the boots on the ground or whatever.
Oh, but that creeped me out. Even though that audio is in the trailer, seeing it in the movie, I was like,
especially with
the
footage they're cutting in.
Yeah,
They did a really.
I like those cuts.
One
I
of
thought
the-
that was well done.
One of the things I will praise this movie on is it's, like I said, its use of the reason I call it weird is because they do a lot of experimental stuff, and they did a lot of that with the sound. I think, especially in this scene, it was very. You hear some of it in other horror movies, but I feel like it's done well here. It
I
felt
feel like it was executed.
it was
very well.
executed very well, and it's I don't want to say it hasn't been done before because it probably has, but it just felt unique. I guess the sounds that they were.
It's
using.
not the norm.
Yeah, it's not the norm. And even the cuts too, coming up till now, there's some cuts that are very and the filters they use and stuff like that.
Yeah, it did feel when at first glance of it felt cheesy, but then once you take it all in and then understand why they did that, I was like, okay. But it was at first I told my wife, I'm like, it's a little disorienting.
Yeah.
And I think that was the point. It was it was to get you down. And that's why I felt like it was Spike's anxiety of leading up the tension into having to finally go out. Because I will say the payoff was when they finally opened the gate after the lady's are you sure? If you go, you ain't we don't go for you.
Yeah, we don't look for you.
Yeah, if you go and you don't come back, you don't come back. Too bad you die. Too bad you die. So when they open the gate, we finally get the long shot we've been waiting for, and it's literally a beautiful wide shot of the mainland going road and just the sky of just how wide it is with the body of water on each side. And I was like, that is cool. Now you have a payoff to that. And I think that's better than any of the other wide shots from any of the other movies. Even rivals the first one that everybody loves, the one where he's on the bridge facing the clock. I think it's way better than that. Way better.
It saved you. You're already out the door.
I'm already out the door. I was like, you know what? I come back.
So the footage that Jordan had mentioned that they're cutting in with the boots on the ground, it's like soldiers training and a bunch of school children doing questionable salutes, that kind of stuff. And one of the things that, I don't know if y'all caught this, but one of the pieces of footage that they cut in are the snipers from 28 Weeks.
Yes,
I noticed that they were showing the scopes.
When they're shooting the thing. So it wasn't retconned.
That's what they think. But
The effects of it kind of are, but isn't that every movie though? At the end, we're right back to the beginning.
There's no cure. But what I will say, and I like that whenever I looked into it, or when I listened to other people talk about it that have done really deep research and know about it. It's a lot of English people that did. Well, they know because it's their stuff.
Right. If the movie was here in America, then we
know.
Yeah.
But it was talking about how that particular one was very the idea behind that is just reminding the soldiers to just keep moving forward. Don't. You just follow orders. That's the thing. You're just driven to. If you constantly get berated with that mantra, that you're going to do that. And so there's something that people have talked about is that the idea of that is also the idea of that commune. Everybody has a purpose. Everybody follows that purpose. They have all the rules posted of this is what's expected. This is what you need to be doing. Everybody, it seems as though, follows those rules and doesn't really question. And you also have, just the overall that particular mentality is also like a regression of society of like what it is. Like typically, you know, we've gotten to a point where we question norms and we try to like be progressive and try to do things. Whereas like in this commune, they've learned for survival, we have to like, they almost have to like go back to like that old, like early mentality of like, no, you follow the rules, because if you don't follow the rules, like, you know,
We're all fucked.
yeah, it's over. Like, you know, doom and gloom.
Yeah, which more on that later. We explore like almost, I would say, the humanity of like the people that are infected later on.
Mhm.
So
It was good. There's a lot to unpack in this whole thing alone.
Yeah.
Even just
Yeah.
like everything about it, but I don't know. Yeah.
Again, way better done than the first movie. This is what
It's-
people talk
it's
about in
good.
the first movie. I'm like, you got that? It was shot on a razor phone. How do you?
It was good.
The
It was
razor
good.
flip
The first
phone.
one was so good.
I need to rewatch the first one. Maybe
first
it'll
one's
go
good.
on.
Maybe.
Now that I'm invested.
So then they make it to the mainland. They're walking through the forest. This is where we get, like I just mentioned earlier, where we see like the clearing of the woods where they gather, or I'm assuming they gather firewood and all that good stuff. They keep traveling, and eventually they find an infected, and this infected person looked very different from others, right? So I know, I don't know if it was part of the marketing or just an article that I had read, but somewhere I had learned that in this trilogy, we're going to see that there's variations of the infected.
Yeah.
And so this is our first variation that we see, and it's essentially like,
Remember what they call it?
I don't remember what they call
There's
it.
a name.
It's not a crawler. It's called
Loader. I don't know.
I don't know. I just thought of, speaking of Left 4 Dead, I just thought of a boomer,
Yeah.
Boomer. Okay, boomer.
but not as wide. And the boomers in Left 4 Dead are able to walk,
Yeah.
but
These
these ones
only crawl.
aren't. Yeah, these ones only crawl. And so basically, Jamie is trying to get Spike to shoot the infected on the ground because it's crawling towards them, right? It knows that it's
They're called
there.
bloated or slow lows.
I was right.
Slow lows.
Bloated. Slow loads.
No,
Slow.
lows.
Slow
lows.
Slow lows.
That's
Yeah.
kind of cool. I can get behind
Who
that.
comes up with these ideas?
I don't know. So I think Spike like struggles a little bit, or does he hit this one?
It takes a second, but he does.
Yeah, I think. Oh no, what happens is he's kind of getting his aim set, but yeah, I think the idea was like the dad was like, it's gonna get easier as you like take him
the
out.
First one's always the hardest.
Yeah, and it's not that he didn't miss or anything, but he definitely was like not sure if he wanted to shoot it. But what helped kind of trigger him to move faster was that another one was crawling close to his dad, and that even the dad didn't even realize it until it got really close. And so
I think it like made some kind of like
yeah,
noise.
yeah,
Do we get the kill cam on this one yet or no? I
yeah.
have a comment.
Yeah, I think we do.
I saw a lot of people.
There's a lot of kill cams.
It's a ballsy
Pretty
move. Like, I understand how maybe some people wouldn't like it, but I saw a lot of people saying like, yeah, I liked it the first time, but I didn't want to see it 20 times. One, I'm pretty sure it only happens like 4 or 5
It happens
times.
28 times.
But it's
I
true.
counted.
But it's also, I found myself wanting to see it again later in the movie, and it's
Yeah,
really
it's
only
cool.
during this part. I really loved it.
It's
I thought
fitting
it
for
was
the
dope.
movie.
I thought it was good too.
I
There's
think,
that iPhone, bro.
I think with the movie with so much experimentation on it, they were able to.
I
get
really
away
like
with
that.
it. Again.
So basically, like what we mean by kill shot is when they shoot the arrow and the arrow makes impact. Think of like Sniper Elite, where they like zoom in on the person that's getting hit with the
It, like,
freaking
slow-mos it,
hammer.
right?
Yeah, it
It
slow mos it, and then there's like a
Like
still
freeze
shot.
frame.
And
Yeah,
like rotates.
freeze frame that rotates.
It rotates. Yeah, it like goes back around.
The guy with the iPhone's like,
Yeah.
I will say another thing too was I did think that like the effects were pretty solid, like they weren't super CGI or anything like that. Like
There was
I thought,
some parts I had gripes with.
I thought
overall.
like, this
all
one
the
was
deer.
okay.
The deer.
Yeah, let's get 700 deer. All right, corral them up.
Hey, they put him far enough off to where he's.
Yeah.
There's a couple of forest scenes too where like you can see them like from the background. I don't know if it was just bad lighting or.
Oh,
if it
I
was,
know what you're talking about.
There's like
yeah.
when it's them two and it's like looking down on the. It's really.
You can tell they're in the fore.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
the rest
yes,
of that
yes,
is. Yeah.
right. It was, but that was it.
Yeah, so they, I think they take out like 3 or 4 infected, but Jamie says that the screams from, you know, the slow lows are gonna attract more infected, so they basically book it out of there.
Yeah.
They end up in like this clearing, and in this clearing we see like a horde of freaking elk or deer or whatever, and they just kind of.
It's crazy.
They're almost like majestic. Like,
Well,
they look-
I thought it was interesting with that too was that this is like maybe like a what's the word I'm looking for? promoting like why hunting is a thing. Like the basically the population is not being controlled. So I mean, at this point, you're seeing like hundreds upon hundreds of elk and deer like all together running. Like I'm surprised there's even still forests with how many of those that there are. What I would want to get more into, and I'm sure there's some article where they've talked about it, because I know they've done 1,000 interviews, like just basically giving away all the information. But I thought it was also interesting of like how the infected have stayed alive this long. And I know they're going to get more into that in the other movies, but I was like, you literally in the second movie said that they all died out within 28 days. So in 28 years, they've somehow all not only survived, but like are able to be sustained. Like they're able to sustain.
Have we started getting shots of like the night cam, the red night cam?
Not yet.
I think that's after they go in the house.
That's after they go in the house.
After they go in the house? Okay.
I think it was some earlier.
I'm pretty sure it happens once they're like on the mainland. It happens like once.
I think when they're playing the military song, they cut in some of it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty cool too.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
So basically, in the military boots to ground thing, they cut in shots of like it's a night camera, but they shifted it so instead of being black and white or green or whatever color it is, it's red. That creeped me the fuck
scary,
out.
yeah.
And like it's just the infected. Oh, you know what? You're right, because that's when they find the deer in the tree. But it's basically shots of the infected, and like they're all in their birthday suits. And they're just kind of like making these weird motions. We see later on what, like, more of what they do.
Yeah, I'm just assuming like a select few had survived, like evolution essentially, and then they reproduced or whatever, as we find out later.
So they, after they, see the horde of deer or whatever, they end up in this farmhouse. I think the farmhouse is our first reference to Jimmy.
Yeah, that's
right.
Yes,
is that the house you're talking about?
Isn't that the house they hide in later?
Yeah, it's the same.
That's what I was wondering. So that isn't the same house from the beginning.
I don't know if it's the same house from the
because I know it has the stair. The
it has
stairs
the
are the
same
same
layout,
way.
kind of.
Maybe. I don't remember the stairs that much. But yes, they go in the house and they're looking around, and they notice the body, right? Like there's a body
hanging upside down.
Yeah, with their shirt off, and in their thing, you can kind of tell it says Emmy. Yeah, but you don't know what the top says, like Timmy or
Timmy.
So you and the kid freaks out, right? He's like, "Oh, Dad, what's going on?" And he looks and he's like, "Oh man, like this must be like what is it? Like somebody must have like done something bad and they punished them or something."
Like he's basically being left.
Yeah, left for.
And even Spike is like, why would anybody do that?
And it's like some crazy people.
Yeah.
And then he starts.
Crazy people live on the mainland.
He is covered in his head, like with a trash bag or like a bag of some sort. And then you get the. And he starts like.
Yeah, he's already been infected at this point.
So he starts wiggling and writhing, and I think even the dad tells him, "All right, take him out." And he's like, "What? Why?" And he's like, "Take him out." He doesn't take him out.
Free, yeah.
Yeah, he allows him to break free, and the thing like comes off and is about to attack him, and then I think the dad takes the shot, right?
Yeah. The dad takes a shot. Yeah, he's like Jamie's basically screaming at Spike to like go
take
like,
the shot,
why are you not doing this? One of the things that Jamie does say to Spike when he's trying to get him to take the shot is not to feel bad about killing the infected because they don't have a mind. And so like since they don't have a mind, they don't have a soul.
Yeah.
Which I feel like goes back into like the like war commentary we were getting
right.
a bit
Yeah.
Which goes into it really does, right? Because like one of the main ways to keep war efforts going, especially in the 1940s, was to make sure to just like dehumanize the others.
Yeah.
They did that with video games. Did you know that?
Yeah, I mean, Left 4 Dead, there's zombies.
Not that, I mean like actual war, but yeah, okay, yeah. No, they did, yeah, in Scotland, they hooked them up, PlayStation. They're like, play Left 4 Dead, this is where you're gonna have to go through.
Continuity error. Left 4 Dead's only on Xbox.
Oh, you're right.
So then we get kind of shots of the mainland at this point. Just like you're saying, they're drilling into there's a bunch of school kids and they're drilling this mantra into them. And then we're back to the forest, where they see basically blood on some plants, and they start following the blood trail, which eventually leads them to a rotting deer. And then they find a deer skull in the trees, and then we find out how that deer skull got into the trees. It's the night footage red shifted again of this one infected, and I think we're getting commentary or basically like lore while we're seeing this, but he goes and he rips the deer's head off and they put it in the tree.
I didn't catch that.
Crazy. You're
Yeah.
covering your eyes. You're scared.
I didn't catch that it was ripped off. Like,
Yeah.
What? Rip it out.
What do you think?
like I'm piecing together that we know which one killed the deer.
Oh,
I guess we're also making the assumption too that they're like actually eating the deer, right?
Well, they
they
show
do.
shots.
Yeah.
That's how they.
Well, and that's
how they
well,
live.
yeah, but in the previous movies that we talked about, right? Like they've never showed them actually eating people. They've only just like beaten.
We've
them.
never seen this part of them, correct?
Right.
Yes.
The almost human.
Well, maybe
part
they
of, like,
evolved
surviving.
to have normal stomachs. You know.
Well, I mean, if they're still human, then they already have normal stomachs.
Oh.
I think
died out. I think this is where I have my continuity errors. Like they died out in the second movie in 28 days. How did they starve out? And then yet like these
Do
didn't
we get
starve out. You know what I
confirmation
mean?
they
Like,
die out?
yes, they starved them.
Supposedly.
Most of them starved out. I'm pretty sure. Like they were almost, I think, pretty.
You know
see.
what?
What
We'll
you say?
we'll talk about it later. We'll talk about it, but
I mean, yeah, the only one that was alive that they found was the one at the gas station, right? In the second movie, there was just that one when she was getting the bike or whatever.
That
Yeah.
one is dead.
Was it dead?
Oh,
Yeah,
it was a
the first
skeleton.
one was
Yeah, it was
good.
like a skeleton.
Okay, I
The
thought
only remaining infected that we see in 28 weeks is
Is
Alice.
Alice, yeah.
And you know what? Okay, so I'm gonna put a little science hat on for a little bit. So viruses are notorious for mutating really quick, right? Alice being patient 0, I guess, of the second wave, and she was eating food.
And the husband was the first alpha. Oh, that's why he was so smart. That's why he lived.
That's what I'm
But
saying.
he didn't.
But he didn't. And I'm saying all you need is one to survive. Now that we know that, or two, I guess, because we know the alphas can reproduce.
But I think that
Like,
explains why the
Yeah.
dad acted the way he did in that movie. They gave it a reason.
he was already evolving.
He was already evolving. He was
I
technically
mean,
just patient 0.
I mean, you're right.
I
you're
mean,
right.
he did pull up the key card to get
He
out.
did, yeah, he did. See,
So
He's
while
smarter.
we're getting shown this footage of this infected ripping off the deer head, we're introduced to the concept of an alpha infected. Ooh.
Yeah, because
just
the
like
dad
that.
sees the deer head and is like,
Yeah, well, he's like, yeah, no, well, yeah, he's like, okay, we need to go, and then like he goes and they go into a field, and then that's when they see like an infected at the top, right, and then it's like, okay, maybe they don't see us, we just need to like stay. Oh, he sees the alpha, right? It's the alpha. It's
like
the
a
alpha,
T-Rex.
Yeah, and he's just like,
stand still.
and he just, yeah, he's like, stand still, and he's like, and
Five
then,
other
and then, yeah,
ones.
5 other ones, and it's like, all right, yeah, no, we need to.
Yeah, so they book it. They make it back into the house, and then they're basically like, they're running through the forest, and Jamie says, "Hey, we're gonna stop, shoot a couple," and they keep running,
Yeah.
right? But when they stop, Spike isn't able to take the shot, so Jamie just tells him, "Keep going, and I'll, take him out."
Well, he
after
misses.
something."
Yeah, he misses. He like shoots, and he like definitely like. And this is and contrary to what has happened before, because they set him up at the beginning where he was a really good shot. Like he's actually a really solid shot. So the fact that he couldn't hit him is like telling that he was. Yeah, he's under
Right.
pressure and he's freaking out.
It's
Which
different.
comes into this comes into play later on at the
Yeah.
party. So then they make it to the house. There's more kills, all that good stuff. They get into the ceiling, and then the infected. I think they killed the last one who saw them get into the ceiling.
Yes.
And so the infected, when they get up there, they're just kind of like, "Oh, caveman brain. I don't know where they went," and then they dip.
Well, they like I think too. They did a really good job of like classic horror where it's like the dad ends up like throwing the son up. One is really close to getting him. He takes him out, and then two are already in the doorway, like coming up the stairs. And by the time they get up to the stairs, there's just like 2 seconds. Like he just is already in the ceiling. And
Yeah, we get like the quick cut.
yeah, quick cut. He just Batman disappeared.
It was a tense scene, honestly. It was
Yeah,
It
it
was
was pretty
pretty
good because I thought the dad was gonna eat it there.
I was pretty sure. I felt like,
Yeah.
dang, it's already over.
The dad also gave the lore of the alpha, where he's like the alphas have
They
seen
take
him
more
take
shots.
I've seen him
Takes like
take
12
multiple
shots.
shots to take him down. So an alpha is not as easy to take down with anything, really. I guess maybe said 5 arrows. It took 5 arrows to take him down.
Because the dad's a really good shot.
Yeah.
Like, and even he's like, no, we're not gonna.
Yeah. So they decide to camp out in the ceiling overnight.
Because they're out of arrows. Let's go.
Yeah, they are out
Are
of
they?
arrows. They're out of
Yeah.
arrows. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go pull him out of the. What do we do?
Yeah.
I'm sure the kid dropped a couple too.
Yeah.
Like he missed, and then I think he maybe shot one more other time. But like I think he at the house he did shoot one. He did get one, but then he like completely like I know he had like 3 arrows left, and then he didn't
Yeah.
have any, so I don't know.
So then they basically from here, they're in the ceiling. Spike is telling Jamie how he feels bad, and Jamie's like, "Nah, it'll be fine." But then they see
For a little bit, there's
something that happens where
Dream
Jamie
sequence.
says that there's a quarantine patrol in the distance.
there's a
Oh
boat.
yeah, there's a light.
Oh, it's a light. They see the other light, and then
Because you're also looking at the fact that the alpha's still out there, and it's like the
Right.
nighttime. Like,
And
I
we-
missed the time.
And we do see in some of those flashes at the beginning when they show the different like things, when they show the island, and it's the phrase they use is is something quarantine, like basically where there's no exceptions, like there's no
Yeah.
exceptions. I forget the first word, but basically it's very specified that like if you're on the land, that's it, like you don't come
Yeah.
back, period. And so, but when they do that, they also have war boats like basically surrounding the island. So
patrol,
there is a patrol. So that
to make sure nobody swims out,
nobody
like-
swims out. That nobody can get away. Like they're not there to save them. They're there to make sure nothing leaves the island. Like
Yeah.
that's their whole purpose.
Yeah.
Which is
Crazy.
That is crazy.
So on one side they see the quarantine patrol, which I think is kind of like
He even says he thinks they're French, right? He
Yeah.
even like throws it out there because he mentions what was the giveaway? He was like, "Oh, it's this type of thing." So
I
they
don't
must be
remember,
French.
but I don't remember what they say. But this is my whole thing of like they, I think from this, the people who stayed on mainland Britain or whatever who weren't able to leave, they're like, imagine how they feel, right? Like these quarantine patrols are coming onto the land, shooting a bunch of people up. I'm assuming if he knows
I don't
about
e- I don't
quarantine
even think they-
patrols, they're able to leave.
No, I don't think they do. No, they don't.
They're
Because
just there to contain.
they're
they don't
there to
kill.
contain. Yeah, because he mentions like the whole reason, we'll get to it later when they meet their next
But
friend.
you're right in that like they're coming this close, and these people aren't infected. They could easily. They have the resources to save these people if they wanted to.
Well, no, they tried, and then obviously that failed.
Hey kid, look
But
at this
see-
iPhone.
but
What
when
is
they-
that?
When they
That's later,
right,
actually.
but in 28 weeks they try to save the land. They could have just pulled those people, and
Right.
but instead they're like, nah, it's too late for you.
Yeah, for real, honestly.
On the other side of the house, they look out and they see a fire in the distance.
Imagine
And
this.
basically, Spike is asking, like, what's that about? And Jamie's like, oh, don't worry about it.
No, he does mention he's like
The doctor.
the doctor. He does mention it. He's like, because he tells.
I thought
He
Jamie
tells-
acts like he doesn't know what it is.
No, he's like, no, because he does. When does he mention that he does? No, he mentions the doctor later.
Later,
Yeah, but
It's
he
Sam
know.
who tells
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
The deer horde basically comes back while they're sleeping, and the entire house
House
collapses.
comes
So they.
Oh, that was a deer. I thought
Yes.
those were
Yeah.
infected. Right?
No, it's
I
a
don't
deer.
know why.
It's a deer. There was somebody brought up a point. I didn't think of it, but somebody thinks that they have brought up a theory that the alphas also have some type of communication with the animals because
Oh, the crows?
because you have the
The
crows that are going
ravens.
to come later, but
Yeah.
you also have the deer running basically to that house and like basically knocking it
fish 'em
over.
out?
Yeah, to fish them out. And then once they fish them out, then obviously the alpha
You
comes
get
into
'em.
play. Yeah.
So basically, the house collapses, and they book it to the land bridge. Right, the entire time they're running, Spike is like, "But it's still high tide. Like low tide hasn't hit yet." And Jamie's like, "Too fucking bad." Like,
No,
that's
he,
the
no,
shin
no,
level
no,
or
he
whatever.
said, he's like, oh no, like by the time we get there, it'll be close enough. Like he knew it wasn't going to be low tide, but he's like, I think we'll manage. We'll be there by the time we get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we see shots of the alpha basically following their trail.
They even
Yeah.
kind of
And
like
the crows like,
we
Yeah.
see them get comfortable. Spike and Jamie are like they're running the thing, and then
Oh,
there
they're
show
kinda
scenes
like-
where they're kind of like laughing and like
Yeah, they
almost
made it-
walking.
yeah.
in
Yeah,
direction
I think
of
once
the
they get
crows.
to
they don't know that the alpha's
Yeah.
right behind.
it's once
them.
they get to the beach because they realize, hey, it's ankle deep. We can go.
And this is the first time we really see the alpha like booking it.
Oh, the alpha
Yeah.
looking at it. He's like,
all
Yeah.
He's packed. Oh,
He's very gifted. And so basically they're walking across the bridge, and then that's when they hear the
well, I will say they also get another really great shot again of like the backdrop,
stars.
the stars. Yeah, because they had mentioned like since there's no
Oh,
light
yeah.
pollution anymore because the island doesn't have
Yeah.
electricity, that you get the full sky again, a wide shot of like the two sides, and they're walking, and you get the the
Aurora, the
Aurora
thing?
Borealis.
Yeah.
even the shot. I didn't realize they talked about the pollution thing. Even the shot, like we see the crows come up in it.
Yeah, it's like
Those looks really
It's
nice.
like ominous. Because that was the other thing, right? That they think that's the other theory because the crows also come out and they all come out the same way and they all go towards them. And which I thought, if I heard a bunch of crows coming my way, I would have booked. I thought the crows were gonna attack them.
They infect him.
Yeah, right. You're right.
Right.
Which I guess in this movie I won't say they retcon, but it feels like they retcon the idea that the animals can transmit the infection because I didn't think that there was rats at 1.2 and crows
never seen
and
that?
deer and yeah, no.
You say that rats
I
go?
don't know.
I
So-
thought then the
I thought it
second
was only
movie,
monkeys. I thought it was only monkeys.
Chimps make sense to me because
Because
how
of
related they
DNA.
are.
but I thought
Very
they were
similar.
freaking out about the mice in the second or the first one. They had talked about that too. Like the
I think it was
mice.
just the fact that they're running from something.
They're running
I think
from
that was the
something.
idea. They're not infected.
Yeah.
they
So
caused the plague, but they can't get the
Yeah.
Also, people were just really quick. I saw a couple people complain about like the water looking CGI when the
No, the
alpha
water
was running. Bro, you're looking at a zombie, not a zombie, but we're watching this man run, and you're worried about the water. Like, that's all.
So yeah, so you hear that they hear him hauling ass towards them. They turn around and they're like, "Oh!"
They don't even until like they're halfway across the bridge and then they stop. They're like,
I think
That's
that's the
like
ravens.
the-
I thought it was
No,
that's
no.
what caused them to turn around.
no.
they hear 'em.
They hear them, but no. They're like first they're at the edge. The crows come. Then they get like a third of the way. Okay, they get at the halfway point, like because there's a clear halfway point, and they stop. They're like, let's take it in for a second. And the guy's like,
That's what I'm saying.
he's
yeah.
at the edge of the shore, like running. They don't hear it until he gets maybe like what? How many yards? Maybe like 50 yards away from them, and then they start hearing the splashing, and they're like, "Raise the gates!"
And then they start running.
and they start running. The alpha's like,
We get the
basically
overhead
kind of
of like
doesn't-
you can see the gap.
yeah,
just-
closing, and I'm like, see what happens? 'Cause I even said it too. I was like thinking, like, man, this is horror movie bad decision making right here. Like, like, hey, we need to get home, and they're like, let's pause for a second. Let's
This is
just
another
take it-
time I thought,
Yeah,
it's
I'm
over,
like, bro, yeah, they're cooked. They're done.
So Jamie has a whistle and he's blowing the whistle to get the attention of the gatekeepers. That's
They're
when
asleep.
everybody.
They're asleep.
Yeah, they are asleep, and then that's when everybody's starting to wake up. They get to the gate, and then you can think of her. We never really get her
She's
name or
like the
anything
leader,
like that, but
honestly.
she's like the mayor
Mhm.
of the colony or whatever. And she's like, she opens the gate enough for her to look through it, and then she's like, "Wait!" And
Well, no, they had to kill
They
the
kill-
infected
they kill the alpha first.
Which they take a long time. The alpha
It gets,
gets
like, right
almost
there,
to
too,
the
like,
shore.
right-
Oh,
yeah.
they shoot him multiple times.
Yeah.
They shoot him with the-
They get him regular arrows, and I think they actually full harpoon him like with
Yeah.
the big one.
With the
And
fire.
Fire,
yeah,
yeah.
Fire,
and then
yeah.
he goes down.
He like almost gets him.
I was gonna say I think some blood gets on them.
But I think he's because that's the
Actually,
same.
yes, I think
al-
it is,
That's the
right?
same alpha we see later, right?
no dead.
Oh, I didn't know if he was dead or not because they're like rushing to get in as if he's gonna
They
come
look-
back
they look
up.
the
I
same.
think if you get hit with the harpoon in the chest, it's good to.
Hey, he's an alpha.
Well, he got really close, and
He did
yeah,
get super
like
close.
you were saying, he was basically like let us in, and she's like wait because she needs to see if they're infected. She doesn't want
Right.
to let him in if they know that she's
Which
they're
harkens on the fact earlier where she's like, if you don't come back or whatever, like almost you have to be heartless essentially. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, no,
You really do. And so then they make it back. They let him into the town, and then it's pretty much party time,
Yeah.
right? And so this is where I saw some people talking online about like what's it called? Spike's perspective of his like parents. Like he's finding out that they're human, right? And it's always like that weird thing growing up where you realize that your parents aren't like these superhuman people.
Yeah.
And so when it comes with Jamie, is that Jamie's hyping up Spike, saying that Spike was the one who actually got all of the infected, and he led them out, and
Almost
he's like hyping
using
up
him
his
as a
son.
trophy. Like,
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And the entire time you can tell, like just like what you're saying about Spike being super anxious,
Yeah.
like that's definitely the kind of feeling that I got from this entire party scene. Actually.
Yeah. He gets.
Um,
you
very
can see it,
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very uncomfortable. He's
overstimulated.
overstimulated.
It also
Um,
shows like how because the whole idea is like he's killing all these, again, dehumanizing these infected, and we see how the colony like essentially celebrates that. We
Yeah.
even get
Yeah.
like the mask and like,
Yeah.
Yeah, the creepy mask with it has a arrow to the head, which it has the red dot with his
Coming
dripping
out.
blood.
It's like a party to celebrate hunting the infected.
Yeah.
for fun.
Because they did
Like,
talk about that, like the mantra is head and heart. Like you have to; those are the
Yeah.
two
Yeah.
spots to guarantee that they'll go down. Although I think they also mentioned the neck. I think that's what
The neck,
Jamie
yeah.
says
for
the
the
neck.
The
slow
jugular.
lows.
The
Yeah.
slow
Yeah,
motion,
because
yeah.
Spike does hit the leg earlier on, and the dad's like, "You have to aim for the heart."
He's like, aim for the heart.
So Basically, what happens here, the other thing that kind of triggers Spike into like his dad's probably not the best person is that his dad basically goes off with a younger woman to cheat on his wife.
And he's clearly also like intoxicated.
Super intoxicated.
Yeah, they let him drink. That's like the thing because he became a man.
Oh, they let Spike drink.
Yeah, it's because he became a man. Like that's their ritual of like for that.
This is when the perfect dad curtain falls.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So then Spike makes it back to their house, and he talks to Sam, the guy who gave him the arrow at the very beginning, and he's asking questions about the fire. And so this is when Sam tells him like, "Oh, that's my old doctor," and then he's like, "Well, what the heck is going on there?"
And he's like, I shouldn't say anything more. If your dad didn't bring him up, then I won't bring him up.
Yeah, exactly. And then Spike gets into bed with Mom and then falls asleep.
Because you mentioned that Spike saw the dad run off with like
the
the
lady
mistress.
there. Yeah,
And to me, to me the movie was, I guess, registered as 2 acts, and this event is like the halfway point, or like this is the end of the beginning tone, and then the second half is a more emotional.
Right. So we're gonna get our shift in tone or whatever you want to call it. So basically, what happens here? It's the next day. Jamie's cooking breakfast, and
no, Jamie goes into bed with him first, right?
Yeah, he does.
Jamie gets home.
He gets home.
home.
And he like goes in bed, and then like I think the son ends up getting up, right?
Jamie makes a comment like, "Wow, that party went on too long," or "That was
Yeah.
crazy." Essentially, trying to play off like
Yeah. And so while he's making breakfast, this is when Spike goes over and asks about the doctor, so the fire that they saw earlier. And we basically get some lore on him. He was a doctor before the infection and stuff like that. And then while one day when Jamie was out with a different party, they stumbled upon the fire, and he and the doctor had hundreds of bodies of infected
Laid out.
men.
Well, it
perfectly-
wasn't infected. It was just bodies. They don't.
Yeah, well, he didn't differentiate.
Yeah,
he
he
didn't differentiate.
just said bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't-
But it was women, children, and men, everybody.
Mhm.
And he was basically burning them. The doctor waved at him, and then they
almost
took
like to
off.
come down. Yeah, like
This
almost
was like 14 years ago, like pre-Spike being
Yeah.
born. So.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then just I think pretty close to like this point, this is where after he gets the lore from the doctor, Spike basically just gets upset with the dad finally and is like, well, why don't we bring him to the village to see Mom, to see what's
right.
wrong? And he said no, like he's crazy, blah blah blah. And then he even asked him, he's like, why, like what's wrong with Mom? Why won't you have somebody come here? Like it doesn't make any sense. And he's like, I don't know what's wrong with her, because he knows, and they both know that something's wrong with the mom.
Dude, it hits the point where like Jamie hits.
Well,
Spike,
yeah.
which is
Well,
like-
no, because Jamie like calls him out for
Spike tells him, "Do you want Mom to die?" And that's
Yeah.
when he smacks him.
yeah, and then he basically pulls a knife on him. The dad takes it from him, but then gives it back, and he's like, "Don't like come back, like leave. We don't want you here. I can take care
Spike
of
says
Mom."
that to the dad.
And then he like
Mhm.
punches the
Punches
drywall.
That was funny.
If you have a man who punches drywall, leave him.
Yeah, so he ends up leaving, and I think where you're talking about the tone, a lot of people said that this tone was like in the almost like Jamie's side of the world and how they see it, which is like a darker side, like everything kind of is like pessimistic, everything is like bad. And so in the point of view of Jamie, for him, his like thing of coping with like living there is like you're saying, being fictitious, lying, being a scoundrel, cheating on his wife to basically like hide the fact that his wife is like, basically the trauma of like his
It's
wife
coping.
yeah, he's coping
Yeah.
with his wife passing away in just horrible ways to like forget about it. That's his way of forgetting about it, is just living in a different way, but also seeing the world in that light. And that's how he's teaching it to Jamie, right? It's like, oh, this is like, we got to take out these infected. We got to live by these rules. Like this is how we do it. Like this is how you live. This is not how, because he doesn't know any different, right? Like he doesn't know the world outside of just what's in the village, which a lot of these kids don't, which is very important to note.
So then Spike basically conjures up an escape plan, right? He sets a barn on fire.
The
and then-
supplies barn.
Yeah. And then kidnaps his mom, and they go across the land bridge.
Because the mom's at the point where like most
She's
of the time
delusional.
she doesn't know what's
Yeah.
going on fully.
Who's the worst security? The security at this bridge or the snipers from the second movie? I don't know, pretty bad. They're pretty bad. But yeah, he basically Spike's like, yeah, they got to go put out the fire, and the guy's like, I can't leave the post, and he's like, they said they need everybody. He's like,
I can't argue with that logic.
Yeah, because you see they try to put out the
Yeah.
fire and they just come with like little buckets of water and like, it doesn't do anything at all. I don't laugh. Like she just started laughing. She's like, what is that? I'm like, I mean, they don't have
Go
a fire
get the
department.
fire hose.
Right.
That's so
They don't have running water.
They don't. They really don't.
So then we get shots of Spike and what's her name again? The mom?
Isla.
Walking. They're taking basically the same path that we saw Jamie and Spike take earlier. And then they stop at a church for the night. They camp out there pretty much, right?
We get a lot of quick cuts here too.
We
Like,
do.
to speed up this point.
Yeah.
Let's see. So we see a slow low start crawling up to Spike. He says to his mom that he'll take the night watch. Basically, he fell asleep on it. And then when they wake up, the slow low is dead.
Yeah, it has a pretty. I thought this was a pretty tense scene.
Oh, because
Yeah.
we see
They're
the slow low get
like
almost
basically,
face to
he
face.
grabs his foot, like he starts like chewing on his shoe, I think
Yeah.
almost, and then he
laces.
thinks
the
he
worms.
laces. Yeah, he thinks it's worms,
Yeah.
which I guess the slow lows. That's how they survive, is eating like
Grub.
grub and like the ground,
like the bottom feeders.
Yeah,
literally.
essentially, yeah.
And so then we get a cut of what actually happened to the slow low, right? And it's Isla.
Because he wakes
puts the
up,
bag.
yeah.
She put the bag over the infected's head and then smashed it against the wall a bunch of times. I was like, oh
Yeah.
shit. Okay.
She still got it.
Yeah.
You know, take her back to the.
She's on her now.
She's fine. Yeah.
I think it was just crazy though, the idea that like I totally get it that obviously he needs to do this for the thing, but like if she was bedridden, like the fact that she was able to like already make it this far, I thought was crazy. I'm like, that is the worst idea you can think of, is taking her like across this land that you almost died with like an experienced person on.
Both the last two movies happened because of kids.
Yeah.
Just saying.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I was like, the same thing happened in
All I
28
thought
weeks
was,
later.
bro, this guy could not hit a shot earlier. And he just
And he's like, yeah, I
takes
was
his mom.
and he took all the arrows left
Yeah.
left at the thing.
That's funny. And then we get a quick cut to a different scene. So what's going on? Basically, we get these soldiers that showed up on the land. I think their boat like crash landed or something.
Yeah.
And they're being chased by infected. And they are in like this ditch, and they start turning, shooting them. But then the horde is too much.
Yeah, it's like
Jumping off
it's like a giant sewer
Yeah.
canal almost. Like it's
Yeah.
like outdoors for a bit where they're just like the infected are jumping from the top. One of their guys already broke an ankle.
I did have a
Right.
gripe with this part though. I feel like some of them just acted real poorly. Some
Yeah, they
of
could
the
have.
soldiers, yeah.
Well, they also is like they
There's
have
like,
so much. They have so much ammo, and at no point do they like. And this, I mean, maybe they're just not well trained. You know, with the
That's what I.
infection. Yeah.
That's
You
what I
must be all
chalked.
young
That's what I
kids.
chalked it up to.
Yeah, I was about to say
That's
there was
the only
like
way I
there
could
was
get-
like maybe like 2 or 3 infected, and there were 6 of them. I'm like, y'all all
You could
armed,
just shoot,
just
yeah.
with
turn,
guns.
Yeah.
boom, and then you're good. Like,
Yeah.
But
and
they're
they
like,
did.
no.
They
Yeah.
didn't do it well.
Run!
So then they start getting picked off. There's 2 left, and they make it into like this control panel. I don't know what to
Yeah.
call it. Basically, they go through a gate that they're able to.
It's like the
behind
indoor
them.
version of the canal, like almost,
Yeah.
or the sewer.
And so they're walking, and it's the classic horror movie, right? Oh, you hear a noise behind us.
And then it's
It's
Darth
like
Vader.
pitch
It's
black.
Darth Vader.
Yeah, and then they turn around and just like you're saying, it's the fucking Rogue One scene, but it's the Alpha.
Yeah.
And he like grabs one of the soldiers and he freaking predators them. He
Yeah.
rips off their head with the spine.
See, it didn't hit me that like the deer was killed the same way
Yeah.
earlier. Also, see, that's the dad in 28 weeks later. They just
As
showed
Alpha
them in the
sees
middle of
that. As
the.
Alpha, see?
He does it with the whole
He does-
spine. Is
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Does
Yeah.
he do that? No.
No.
Not in the second one. In
His
this one,
eyes.
though.
He
No.
was
Yeah,
like,
his eyes,
he was
his
the
eyes.
prototype. That was the prototype killer right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he basically leaves the one that's getting taken out by the Alpha, and he gets behind the gate again to go back outside, and then he just kind of like takes off.
Yeah, and then we get a shot. Do you want to say something?
I was gonna say, I really like this scene, not because of what it is, but it just does a good job of world building. How there's like this whole, it does a good job of like combining like the post-apocalyptic like primitive like nature of them versus like the modern, you know, nature of them. Still how they're both
It's
still
a
kind of like
big contrast.
not coexisting, yeah, but like the contrast that they're still like there existing in the same timeline, you know.
And that
Yeah.
the infected can still like overtake
It's still winning, bro.
armed people.
That are not good at their job.
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
Then we get a quick scene change to a creek, and there's a pregnant infected. And then we cut back to Mom and Spike. and they're in a flower field, and this is where we get kind of like a perspective from Isla's point of view, because she's talking to Spike as if I don't actually, she's talking out loud, but not to him, but in her, like, we get a quick glimpse of her perspective, and like there's more color in the world, and we see like this, we don't ever see like the body, but there's like an old man's hand like caressing her shoulder or whatever, and she's talking to her dad. So like to her, he's actually there, and she's talking to him.
Yeah, because they're in the field and they see the big like I forget the
angel
statue.
statue.
It's like and that's also a very key statue, because I think they said that was built in like the late 90s. So the fact that that's still there, and I think she even said to the dad, right? The dad's like, this monument's gonna be here for like years before, after us, no matter what happens. Like it will, no matter anything, this will still stand. And like in the post-apocalyptic world, like that still hasn't been taken down, which would be kind of difficult. I think it's pretty huge in metal.
They just get mad at it. They're like, take it down.
And then we see an infected person rise, and if you've seen the trailer, this is the one that people mistake for
Cillian Murphy. It
Cillian
looked like
Murphy.
him. I thought that too. I was like,
does
no.
look like
I was
him.
like, what?
That's your boy.
They got my boy already. He's an extra.
True. He is the executive producer. He's at the end credits. He's the first name. Anyways, Spike shoots that one, and then there's the infected horde, right? They come.
I feel like that was another humanizing moment, because there's almost a pause in like that infected person is really slow and isn't really a threat in the moment. Like it's pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
And then
going
fast
slow, and Spike has to do the mercy kill on it.
And so they make it into a gas station that was formerly Shell, but the S fell off, and it just says Hell.
Ooh.
It's the one from the first. No, it blew up and they rebuilt it.
Look, finally, it's not infected.
What is up with them with gas stations and fire, bro? This was another. This might just be me. This was one of the moments where, like, when they actually get in the gas station, where I personally didn't like the visual effects of like showing that there's gas buildup.
Oh, because it's like a white film.
It's like a
above them. Yeah, haze.
Yeah, so they make it inside of the gas station. There's a layer of gas. They make it basically to the back of it, and then the soldier that escaped earlier opens up the hatch and tells both Isla and Spike to duck, and then he shoots the ground, which ignites the gas.
How realistic is that?
No.
Okay.
No.
Only ignites the gas on the top.
Yeah,
I was like,
I don't think gas works like that.
No, it
gas
doesn't.
fills the whole.
So the reason why it doesn't work, right, is because it's a combustion reaction. Okay, so the combustion reaction needs three things. It needs
a bullet.
It needs an ignition source. It needs heat. It needs fuel, and it needs oxygen. Okay.
Okay.
So, if the thing ignites, what do we breathe?
Oh.
We breathe oxygen. So the entire place would light up, basically.
Not
you wouldn't
just
have a
the gas.
layer. No, you wouldn't have a 3-foot layer or whatever, a thing that doesn't explode.
I was like, how did they survive?
They wouldn't have.
Realist, the movie ends there.
See?
It's like, okay.
You wanted people to duck and roll. Here you go.
Well, that's neither here nor there, right? Who cares? And they say it's benzene too, which is like
What is
crazy.
Extra, it's gas extra.
Like, where would it come from? Is that
It says from the gasoline.
From the gas-
It's
from
been
the-
there.
it's-
It's
yeah.
been sitting there.
Yeah, so basically gasoline, from what I understand, gasoline is octane, and one of the byproducts is benzene, but it wouldn't, like, there's not enough of it in the gas to make that much of a...
Maybe over 28 years? Oh. 28 benzenes.
There was
Anyways.
somebody from the mainland said there was an error in the timeline with this particular scene.
You said someone in the mainland?
In the mainland, yeah. So they said that
there's a continuity error in our movie.
there was. So they said that the food place that all that gas and stuff was at was actually shouldn't have been that, because those got discontinued, or like they basically that franchise they got rid of those in the mid 90s. So the fact that the movie happened in 2001, because that's where they said that they like
It cut
day
off.
one, 2002. That's
When
what
the
they
timeline
said.
version,
The time, yeah, that wouldn't have existed.
Dude,
So the
people-
fact that it existed is an error, and they're like, so I wonder if they're trying to not pretend that it didn't happen in 2001, but it happened in.
Well, maybe that place was shut down
Yeah,
before.
or maybe it's one of those, those gas stations like 50 miles away. They're still like pumping.
I don't know. They're saying
fighting by the dollar.
They're saying it didn't
Still,
exist.
they
It
don't
didn't
know.
exist.
It's
Yeah.
crazy because in that vein, I saw somebody on Reddit. Dude, people are crazy. Mentioned it was either in a scene with Spike or in the beginning with the kid we see. They're like, actually, this toy wasn't produced until
Yeah.
random
Yeah.
toys on screen like that.
So that's so funny that you bring this up. Okay, hold on.
So we got the errors. We got the errors already. Call it
This
out.
is a different movie. This is your favorite movie.
So-
So this is a brick separator. So if you are
Oh,
watching
you're
this
talking
on,
about Skinamarink?
Yeah.
Oh,
if you're watching this on
yeah.
YouTube, you see that there's a bunch of Lego in the background. If you're hearing this on Spotify, there's a bunch of Lego in our background.
I heard this shit. I was like, shut up, nerd.
So,
I was like,
yeah. so in Skinamarink takes place in whatever year,
Yeah.
right?
The
But
90s.
in the 90s. But in the movie, they show one of these, a brick separator, but these weren't produced until like 10, 20 years after, so it wouldn't have existed in the
They
movie.
ruined the movie.
Anyways,
the movie's liminal. It doesn't matter. It doesn't
the
follow
movie
all
was
the
made,
time.
Skinamarink was made with a $20,000 budget in Homeboy's dad's house, so who cares?
And this was what,
Anyways.
$60 million budget.
It all went to the
Yeah.
iPhone.
Did Skinamarink really? That was $5 million more than 28 weeks later. That's crazy. That's crazy.
What?
And they released that bad of a movie. That they got
Skinamarink?
robbed. They got robbed. I said
Oh,
it was
yeah.
15 for. I'm pretty sure for the other one for 28 weeks.
You like Skinamarink more than 28 weeks
No, I
later?
said they were highway robbed them. They literally, I could make that movie for like $50.
Skinamarink.
$50.
I can make it for
I think
$50.
Skinamarink either had a $20,000 or $30,000 budget. I
On
don't know.
my free app.
Anyways,
Oh, my free app.
so they
CapCut.
so then they meet the soldier. He's actually Swedish. And they're basically like talking. He's getting all like super pissed off by them. I mean, this guy has main character syndrome.
Wait, is this-
I thought this was the kid at first. I
Is
was like,
he-
there's no way it lines up
No,
like this.
no.
I was like,
Is he so? Is this just the same boat from the beginning, and it wasn't French after all? Or
I might have been. My issue was do they on the big ship send out the little rafts to patrol? Because where they show they crash landed, it was a little raft, like their little like lifeboat raft.
I think their big one crashed, so they got in the lifeboat raft. Because
Yeah, that's
what
he
happened.
even mentions once you touch land, that's it.
That's it, that's what I said, yeah.
Kinda-
that's what
But
the thing. Yeah.
He does have main character syndrome. I thought he was funny as hell. I'm glad they put him in the
it
movie
was pretty good. It was a good break of like
of like
They-
seriousness.
yeah.
Well, they use this as they use this as the way to show that like
life's
they not
still
only
going on.
well yeah
It's
life
still-
is progressing in the real world everywhere else, but here on the mainland time is frozen and
Yeah.
regrets.
How
Like
out of the
they're
loop
not
they
yeah
are.
they're not in
Yeah.
the loop. They don't know what's going on. They physically are like separated from the outside
Yeah.
world because we realize that everything we pretty much have now exists in the continuum for everybody
Yeah.
else in the world, even though France literally got
Yeah.
affected.
So to give you some ideas, the soldier like shows Spike his iPhone, and he's like, "What the hell is that?"
He shows him the girlfriend.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, this gets on the internet. He's like, what's the internet?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Spike knows nothing. That really drives home the fact that like Spike knows nothing of anything because he was
Yeah.
born after the infection.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone laughs about the girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So the soldier shows Spike a picture of his girlfriend, and she has
The Hollywood face surgery.
Yeah.
and Spike goes, "What's wrong with her face?"
Steven's like, oh, I know somebody who had the shellfish allergy.
Yeah, she was like, bro,
Also-
no chill.
Yeah, in that vein, like, what's the guy's name? It's like Eric, but it's pronounced.
Oh,
Elrig.
Oh, okay. So he also mentions, like, in that vein, like, oh yeah, my friend back home with the delivery driver.
Oh
And
yeah,
Spike's like,
that's a good story. Honestly, I like. Yeah, what's a delivery?
because then we also kind of reflect on where we're at. Like,
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
we really just be ordering shit.
Yeah. Well, he's like, yeah, he's just wasting his life, and he's like, I joined the army, like, or the Navy, and like, now I'm
No.
stuck here.
No,
I
I'm
guess
stuck-
now
I-
who's
I should have been a
now?
delivery
I
driver.
should have been a delivery driver. Yeah.
Because he would have been safe and been able
Yeah.
to like be in the
He's
real
like,
world.
when he said the worst thing that he's probably doing is stuck in a narrow alleyway, right?
Yeah.
Commentary on joining the military.
Well, and I think he even mentioned too of like, because Spike goes, so they're gonna come and save you, right? And he's like, no, like
Yeah.
once
Once
you're
you
here,
touch
that's
them,
it. Yeah, once you touch
yeah.
it, it's it. Like we're, and they use the phrase again. I'm so mad I can't remember the first word, but like basically like no exception quarantine. Like it's it. Like nobody's getting saved. Essentially the same idea that the commune has, except if you're there, we don't take you back. Not like, oh, you can go and come back. It's like no, like no rules or no exceptions. You're there. That's it. It's over. You're done.
Yeah.
You're cooked. And then he's like, oh, and then he's like, what is? He was talking about the phone. He's like, oh, this is gonna be a brick here in a second because
Oh,
it's
yeah.
at 1%.
You don't charge his phone.
Yeah, don't charge his phone. You would think on the Navy boat you would have charged your phone. But
The other thing too is he also makes a point about saying he doesn't have any signal.
yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
because there's no.
So we can't get on TikTok on the island.
Yeah, it's like.
He was trying. He was really
Would you? Yeah, like that's the last thing you do
Yeah.
before you get eaten. Is let me go on TikTok.
You know,
one last doom scroll.
so then there's more shots of them walking, and then
Elric like puts his mom on his like back, like basically
Yeah.
like carrying him.
Oh, that
Like,
was
they
a
had
good scene,
mentioned that they had, yeah, they made it like another like way of showing the mom's like mind regression is that like this is her like basically falling into that childhood idea, so she's like hanging on to him like she would her dad. So
Oh,
like,
then she keeps
Yeah.
calling Spike dad.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
one boy's like, well,
What's
that's
wrong?
weird.
Yeah.
He's like, that's weird.
What
he's
is
like, what's
saying-
wrong with her?
he goes, I know y'all are locked down, and there would have been some inbreeding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's weird.
And then after that's when the mom gets up and starts walking.
Yeah.
He's like,
she
she
can
can
walk. She can walk, and they walk into a train because they hear some screaming.
Yeah, the mom's like focused in. On,
Yeah, and
No,
so
it's
they-
up for a picnic first.
Well,
That was
what
the
they
scene. That was when they were talking about the iPhone. And stuff.
Yeah,
That was the
did. Yeah, we
thing.
jumped. We
Yeah.
kinda,
Yeah. So they get into the train, and about the halfway point on one of the cars, it's the pregnant infected from earlier, and she's giving birth, and Isla helps her give birth,
Mother
right?
instinct.
Yeah, she like,
Humanized them.
I think she like holds her hand or whatever, and then like basically catches the baby as it's coming out of the infected.
How does that work? Like, why is that like a hormonal thing?
Yeah,
Like,
so somebody had talked about that. They believe that this is the first sign of showing that like it's the raging thing. The virus is all hormonal, right? Like it's dealing with basically putting in whatever enzymes reduce rage. So they're saying that like the idea of the pregnancy is because you're super hormonal when you're doing the pregnancy and as you're giving birth, that it's such a high rate that it almost counteracts that
Yeah.
idea of the virus for a second. Like it basically turns
Yeah.
that part of your brain off. Because at the end of the day, that's essentially all it is, right? It's just inducing
Yeah.
rage.
Yeah.
Well, at least back in the original one. So that's what people were saying is that's what this scene kind of shows is like there is still like humanity in them. You're not all just like crazy brain dead monsters.
that's
like
pretty
that.
scary. That's a scary thought. You're
Yeah.
trapped in your own body like that.
Yeah.
That's-
Like I think that and they show at first she like tries to strike at her to get away, but then she like pulls back, and then that's when they do the hand touch right,
Yeah.
and then they deliver. She passes out from the delivery because obviously that takes a lot out of you. Tells Spike to cut the cord. Spike cuts it. He's like, "What?" Like she's like, "Cut it, do it." And then she gets the baby. They like wipe it down, whatever.
Yeah, and then one very important thing is that they zoom in on the baby's face, and its eyes are normal.
Not infected.
Yeah, and it's not infected, and yeah, it also is like it's not as pale as like the
Yeah.
infected.
Yeah.
And just as we get into that, and the mom wakes up and she goes back into rage mode. So all the hormones that happen from delivery are gone, and she goes to strike the mom and the kid, and then Elrig basically takes her out.
He shoots so fast.
Yeah.
It happens so
Yeah.
fast.
It's pretty bad.
'Cause I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure he was already telling him, or he was already like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, he was like, "What is
oh, the
happening?"
baby.
Guys, yeah, he basically like tells them like
We
we need
can't have
to
the
you
baby.
can't have that. Like we need to basically
care of
get
the
rid-
issue.
yeah take care of the issue. And so Spike is the one that steps in. He's like, "No, like we're it's normal.
She's
Look,
not
it's not she's not infected." And he's like, "I don't care." And then
Horror
They always standing under the
Yeah,
opening.
yeah.
He like backs up.
Like,
bro.
yeah. Come on.
and then he like pulls the head out again.
He doesn't look.
No.
He's
He
like,
pulls it right. He pulls him up.
The
he's
whole
like,
body.
"Ah!"
He looks
Classic
He's like,
horror
oh,
movie.
no.
Doesn't the head get thrown back down? Or what?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. And then basically the alpha drops down from the opening, and he's holding the fucking skull of the
Yeah.
guy. Or I guess-
Swinging wiener.
he is hanging dong.
We get a closer look later.
But he's holding like the spinal cord of the freaking dude, right? He's
Yeah.
He's like,
a
it's like a
flail.
nunchuck. He's like,
He does. The rage part comes off, and he's like, "Oh, ah."
Bro, Amanda said, "Is that Jason Momoa?"
it kind of looked like him. I thought the same thing. I was like, they got Jason Momoa for this
He's
movie.
Aquaman, bro. The right by the water.
That's so bad.
And he goes after Spike, and I think he even like at first because he looks like he's going after almost the kid, right? Like I forgot he does like a motion or something to where you can tell it's like he's going after the kid.
It's like his kid. He wants the kid.
Yeah,
he looks at the mom too.
Yeah, he looks at the mom. Yeah, because they've gotten away a little bit.
He's like, oh, she's dead.
Yeah, and then he's like, oh, and he runs after her. And they like close the doors to the train and go like train by train and like keep on closing the doors and you're just like.
Isn't
No,
Spike
he opens the door. He's like,
No,
he just
I
literally
don't think
opens
so.
it.
He breaks him.
No, you're right.
I think
I
Spike
think
gets a
he
few
gets
arrows. He'll like
couple
close the
shots.
door and then like get
Took
a
the
shot.
arrow too, and he's just like.
They make it out of the bridge. They keep running, and then we see basically like this dart get shot into the Alpha's neck.
Yeah.
This is where we're introduced to the doctor. He shows up.
Kelso, right? Kelso, isn't he?
I don't remember.
In iodine.
Yeah,
Full
he's
iodine.
dyed in orange
Yeah.
and iodine. Yeah. So he basically gives
Tranquilizer.
It's tranquilizer, pretty much.
A strong one, apparently.
Yeah, it doesn't put him to sleep. He just kind of like stuns him. He's just like,
Which is when we see again, like, especially this character is focused on that. He could have easily taken out the Alpha while he's
But he doesn't.
incapacitated. But
Right,
he
he
doesn't.
doesn't. And so the doctor's basically like talking to them. Or I think Spike asks him, "Hey, are you Doctor XYZ?" And then he's like, "Yeah, I am." And he's
I've
like,
been waiting
"My
for
mom."
somebody to ask me that.
Yeah, he's like, "My mom is really sick."
no, he does not. They just take him. He's like, hey,
Oh,
we
okay.
need a. Yeah, he's like, hey, like come with me.
Oh, he grabs the head
He
back,
grabs the
by the
head
way.
back from the and he calls him by his name. He says, "This is I call this one Samson."
He's like, "We need to
And
get out of
yeah,
here
we need to
before
get out of
he wakes
here.
up."
Yeah, we get out of here. He crossed the river.
So
Okay.
just a quick little thing. I thought it was funny that his name is Samson because all of the entire movie's filmed on iPhone, and so like Samson's barbaric, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like,
Right.
take that,
Yeah.
Samson.
Well, I think they had somebody had mentioned it has like a biblical
Yeah, I was gonna say
meaning.
it's
Yeah,
like
there's a
biblical.
biblical meaning behind
Oh,
it,
I believe
and it even has it where I forget the full deal, but like he has long hair just like he is, and there's like a whole
He's
thing.
like a servant of the devil or something like that, I think.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I'm gonna say that.
No.
That's the new Lord.
Come forward. completely wrong.
Rewrite the Bible.
Okay, but they cross a river. He does mention that, like, yeah, the iodine, they're not very fond of iodine, so that's
the
how he covers.
infection,
Yeah,
the
infection.
virus isn't very.
Fond of
Which,
it.
give me the lore behind it.
So
Oh,
I
you're not
don't.
a doctor,
So,
you're a
okay.
scientist.
Yeah, so I'm not exactly sure like what the science is behind it because I'm not a biologist, but I do know that iodine is used as like a disinfectant.
Oh.
I did have to ask Ida. I'm like, so he just has this like laying around, and like she just had to kept telling me, oh, he can make that. I'm like, and he just has
You can
morphine.
make iodine?
He's like, he just has morphine. Yeah,
Well,
he
iodine,
makes
whatever because iodine's the element, right? So
He-
whatever form that it's in, I guess you could just make.
it. He makes it at one point in the later scenes, but they cross the river. He's like, this is to help kind of get the scent off so that they don't.
Yeah.
They have a hard time with it because of the current.
Oh, yeah.
So they're not good swimmers, obviously. They get across. They have again, like he's talking to them. He does see the baby, but before they ask about that, he gets the skull from the kid. He's like, give me that, and then he basically like does exactly what they had. Well, kind of what they talked about, and we see where the fire comes from. So he like basically puts the skull in like a fire.
Boils it.
Yeah, he like kind of puts it in a stove. He basically burns it, and then he dumps it into like a water source, and he basically like cleanses it to where he cleans off all the hair and like the gunk that was left on it from the burning process, and then he basically like here's this.
Bro, this was the
Skulls
poster
for the
movie.
skull
The
throne.
skull throws.
Don't they have that memento mori conversation before the river? They cross the river?
No, I don't think
Because they
yet.
see it across the river. This, like all the.
I think
No, I think he's about to because he asked him once they're in there and they're in there. He's like, "What are?" Oh yeah, he goes, "What are the? Because they have to go in there to get to the spot. They're like, "Why? What are all these things? Like, what is this place?"
And that's when he's like, I've been waiting for
Yeah,
someone to
I've
ask
been
me."
waiting 17 years. I think that was prior to when the dad waved at him. He's like, "Oh, dang it! I was gonna ask him."
Yeah, because he also talks about, like, essentially seeing. He talks about the humanity of it.
Because he sees the shrine and the kid doesn't even like freak out. I'm like, literally, there's just piles of skulls and bones.
The
and
poster for the movie.
the poster for the movie has like literally just towers of bones.
Skulls for
and
the skull
skulls.
throne.
Well, no, there's other pieces of bone too. They're like,
So-
the different like
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
they're
all
like pillars that
Yeah.
are made, but
It's
in the
somebody
like the
center
skull
is-
and the soul.
Well, I guess we won't know till it comes out. Why is the second one called the Bone Temple and not this one?
I think that's the
But-
same thing, except he makes a temple.
Right? It's a whole temple. Okay.
He has enough time to make a whole temple.
If I had to guess, I guarantee you we figure out where the alphas are housed. Like where there's a nest, right? There has to be a nest of some sort. I guarantee you.
The
That's
Bone
why they call it
Temple.
Temple of Bones, because they like.
It sounds like an Indiana Jones
I mean,
movie.
like, this is all pure speculation, right? And
But
so, like,
He grabs the skull. Well, I mean, last time he put it in a tree, but like maybe he keeps and collects the human ones.
you're talking the
He's
second
talking about
movie
the
in this
alpha.
trailer? I mean, sorry, the second movie in this trilogy? Is
Right,
right?
it's called the Bone Temple.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. It might have to do with the ending, because
Right.
when we get introduced back to Jimmy, like, his dad was the priest and
Right. Oh, also,
and whatever.
I think
I don't know.
I think we saw it already. We didn't mention it, but I'm also pretty sure we see the church in the beginning, or a church that has like Jimmy's name graffiti.
Oh, it's it has a verse, and like behold, because he shall return, and it says behold,
Jimmy.
and then in bad like graffiti Jimmy.
Which ties into like the idea, which we'll get into at the end, that like Jimmy clearly sees himself as some kind of like.
Right.
Yeah, there's definitely
Powerful
like
figure.
little. I mean, obviously the nugget with the person hanging, and then the house when they come back the second time, and,
And
it
I
says
think
Jimmy.
there's one more, but I can't remember what.
Yeah,
it
I can't
is.
remember either. Yeah, go ahead.
So basically, this is where we get the conversation with the doctor and Spike, where the doctor, what is the phrase that you had said?
Memento mori. You have to remember
Memento
death.
mori.
That's
Yeah,
why he
remember
has the temple. Yeah, he has the temple. He's like, remember, we're gonna die. But this is
Remember
when you have the
death.
shift.
I like
Yeah,
that.
remember death. When you have the shift, for as weird as it may seem and as dark as it may seem, he has the positive. Him and the mom have the positive side of it, right? He's like, yeah, no, we need to live our life, and he shows his thought of like, no matter what these skulls have seen, like they're still human, whether they're infected or not. You can't see that because of the different, like, I mean, there's no difference in a skull of a human and an infected. They both live their lives, and so we have to remember that.
Which is why he doesn't kill them. We also get
Yeah, he
like
doesn't kill them.
like to counteract this like remember love scene a little later.
Yeah,
on.
he humanizes the idea that these are just sick people, right? Because he's a doctor. He thinks that
Yeah.
they're still human. They're just sick.
Yeah, and so basically, the doc takes mom, and he does like as many tests
Yeah.
as you can do without actual medical equipment, and he comes to the conclusion that the mom had some form of cancer, and then it spread all over her body, and that's why
it got into her
she's-
brain.
Yeah, and that's why she's like loopy. She's not herself. Like
And
all
it's
the-
progressing
Nosebleeds,
quickly.
Yeah, the nosebleeds.
Yeah.
Well, she even mentions it, right? Because she says like, because
She
he
used
asked
to
her
be
a
in
question.
waves.
Yeah, it used to be in waves, but I feel the tide's coming in, so she knows that she's basically giving up that it's getting worse.
Yeah. And so she basically is like, you know what, like it's time. And so this is where we get like the conversation with Spike, and he's like, well, what's going on? And I think he like
He doesn't know what
cancer.
he doesn't know what cancer is. Like,
Right.
he literally, I'm sure nobody in the island has
Yeah.
had it, or if they did, they couldn't explain it.
Yeah.
Because nobody was a doctor, and I'm sure they just hit it very well, right?
That's crazy that like Spike is born 16 years after the virus broke out. So it's like, yeah, he's only known this.
Yeah, he only knows.
So basically, the doctor performs, the whole cleansing of Isla's skull.
Well, no, he darts the kid.
Right.
Basically,
To put him
puts
out.
but doesn't put him out, but like enough morphine to sedate him. And then, because I think she gives him a hug, and and the mom's crying, and she gives him the nod, the doctor, of like, I think there's an agreement that like, just.
This is when we got the remember love thing.
Put me down, because and he goes through his
Morris, I think.
Yeah.
Memento Morris, remember
Remember to love.
Remember to love, because he basically has giving this whole monologue about that to him while he's sedated to make it easier on him for her passing.
It was a sad scene. I almost
Yeah,
cried.
it is.
Yeah,
Which,
it really is.
Again, it's so opposite from the commune or like the community we see in the beginning,
Yeah.
like the dehumanizing stuff.
Mhm.
It's like the exact opposite of.
Well, because for them, the death is reflective of like this is what happens when we make mistakes. Like this
Yeah.
is like you dying is mistakes. Like you shouldn't be dying,
Mhm.
and that's why we learn from our mistakes.
And here
But
it's like
here
a
it's
natural-
like natural. Like it's a circle of life, right? Like it's
Yeah.
gonna happen. You can't avoid it, and he even says it right. Like there's multiple ways to go out, and the best kind are the ones that like is peaceful on your own terms, right?
Mhm.
So kind of explaining it to him in a way for him to digest and understand that like I'm not taking your mom away. Your mom is choosing to go peacefully because she
Mhm.
doesn't want to suffer anymore, and I
Yeah.
think the sedation kind of helps get him in that mindset to like accept and understand the idea of that.
And then we get I know you're
How
gonna
does she die?
He darts. He darts.
Well, what does he do though?
He does a dart. I guarantee it's poisoned or something enough. Maybe
Well,
enough.
I don't think we even see it.
Yeah,
No,
that's
he
what
darts. He does. He
We
darts.
see him dart her.
But I
He
don't know if
darts
it was
her.
like morphine to like also sedate.
I
Yeah.
think you can do enough to shut, because that's the thing with
Oh,
morphine.
you can, right?
You can do enough to shut down your organs, because it's
Well,
basically
it's-
it slows things down, right?
So,
The process.
So morphine is. We're just talking about science today.
Yeah.
Morphine is a opioid, which is they're derivatives of heroin.
Yeah.
And so you can OD on morphine.
Because it basically will just it like relaxes you too much to the point where your organs just don't function
Yeah.
anymore.
Which again, we don't see. We don't
Yeah.
see any of it because one, it's meant to be non-painful, and then two,
Yeah.
I mean, you have to get the.
You just
skull
see the dart.
somehow.
You see the
So-
dart.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then it does go through the process of like he'd show the he darts her. No, yeah, darts her. I think gets her, and then he does like a full like almost Viking, right? Because he puts. I think her body's in the fire. I think that's what we see. Is
Oh,
the,
maybe
That's-
it's a big fire.
That's
It's
why I was
not
like,
the stove.
because we see like the CGI like up thing.
Yeah, it's like a big
circling.
square fire. It's like
Yeah.
Qui-Gon Jinn episode 1.
Like, it might have been. Yeah.
It was, yeah. I think, yeah. So he like,
believe you.
I think he sedates her enough to like
It's
put
like
her
a
out, and then
ritual.
he basically burns the body, gets the skull, puts the whole, whatever.
Gets the skull. He gives it to Spike and tells Spike,
Which is
to choose his
crazy.
Yeah,
spot.
he's like,
Cubone
"You're dead
style.
now."
Yeah.
Cubone.
This is specifically the poster where he's climbing it. Like,
Yeah.
bro, the poster ruined.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, he
the
like
movie,
climbs,
yeah.
he climbs the thing, and it's like a whole thing, right? Is like he's like. You find the spot for her, and it's like also the whitest skull too. It's
Yeah.
like the cleanest.
Tell him to find like the perfect
Well,
spot
I
or the
think,
best
I think the
spot.
reason why it is the cleanest is because it's the newest. Like
Because
one
of
of
age.
the, I think one of the things that he mentions is that like the skull throne isn't going to be there for very long because
Yeah.
I mean over time it's going to deteriorate
Yeah.
or turn back to the soil.
And even
That's-
even this is like an emotional thing where like once he gets to the top and puts it there, he like turns ahead and they're both like looking at the
The
sunset.
sunset,
Yeah, because he's like, I know the perfect spot, climbs up,
Yeah.
and then another good wide shot.
But
Like I
he's
said,
trying to climb and
they
just-
finally, I think they finally figured out how to like capitalize on good shots.
It's
like,
a good. The movie's a good middle ground as far as cinematography goes and
Yeah.
stuff like that. It does both sides. Like there's not one side overbearing. That's.
Well, I thought this whole second half they were really good about like not.
It feels more traditional.
Yeah,
right?
and
It
it's
felt
not
more- it
like
wasn't any-
Less cuts.
Less
yeah,
cuts.
'cause it's,
Yes.
it's also less like action based. Yeah, it's a more
They-
slow
they
drawn
I
out.
think they left a lot more of the experimental stuff in the beginning, which is fine. It like drew
Yeah.
you in, and then it kind of
settled it down.
settles you in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the alpha shows up.
Oh yeah, because it's like
It's like
it's
cuts,
like,
it's
it's like daytime.
Yeah, this isn't even like no room to breathe. Just literally
Bro,
good
so
scene, and then bam, he's just running.
Which
It's
we
like-
already know the alpha's not scared of water.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. The alpha like across, and I guess he hears him, right? The guy. And he's like, all right, come on, and he has like a little like hole hut. And he's like, all right, we're good. And then
See
like
the
he's like
alpha.
banging on the door,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Or the chain. He's like, no, Samson, go away. And Samson's like, all right. And then somehow there's a weak
Yeah.
point, and he's just like,
He's like, psych!
And he starts like pulling the
Pull the
doctor, and the
doctor.
doctor is hitting his head on the thing,
I
and
thought
then
it was
Spike
over.
grabs like one of the
darts
darts,
and
right, and
just
stabs
hits
the.
Samson in the arm.
Mhm.
Which apparently the doctor is supposed to be in the second one, which I didn't know. Going
I like
in.
his
Well,
character.
because-
So I thought he was gonna get cooked.
No, I think that's good because I think the idea is that he's been able to survive this whole point up to this point. So I don't think the infected mess with him. Like I think he has enough like understanding to somehow like avoid
Which
this.
again ties into I'm pretty sure Samson just wants the baby. Like he's
Oh,
because they have the kids.
Yeah, they
still.
have
I
the
feel
kids
like that's
still.
why he's drawn. To
Yeah,
Maybe. Have you ever seen The Menu?
I have
terrible.
Yeah.
Is it terrible?
It's
Is
terrible.
that the one where they're
I don't
eating on
like
the
it.
island?
Yeah.
I have seen
the
it.
ending's
He's
even
the
awful.
The,
No, it's
I'm
even worse.
90% sure
I
that
think
the
you're right.
doctor is
He's
the
the
chef.
chef. You're right.
What is that movie?
You're right.
Spoiler
It's
alert!
bad.
Spoiler alert! The ending is he makes her a cheeseburger.
Hey.
What?
Hey,
That's
I,
the ending.
I liked it.
It was
like-
terrible.
If,
It was
if you like to
terrible.
watch Gordon Ramsay shows,
It's terrible. It is awful. It's
I
the
thought it was
most.
about like eating people. No.
No, it's
No.
like the most stupid artsy,
You're like-
fartsy art house movie.
It is-
You're trapped in a restaurant where
It's dumb.
They're trapped in a restaurant.
You're all
It's
gonna
dumb.
die,
It's
yeah.
dumb. Don't watch it. It's a waste of
It's
time.
pretty bad.
Okay.
Anyways,
He makes a cheeseburger. So what ends up happening is this is where they just basically
Oh, yeah.
like let's just speed through this part. So
He's
we
like,
speed.
he's like, I think it's time for you to
Yeah,
go.
it's like basically.
Wait, she like sends the kid with the baby.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah, he's
good
like-
luck, good luck.
Yeah, he's like, hey, yeah, you need to go.
He's like, you're good.
You need to leave.
He's like, yeah. He's like, you'll be fine. Don't worry,
Yeah.
baby.
No arrows.
While Samson's
No,
just
yeah,
there, like
for
he's
real.
gonna.
He's like,
Yeah, he's like Samson. I'll take care of Samson.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. I'll tie him up and put him on a boat and just roll it down river. So this is where it basically I think at this point it just barrels to the
epilogue.
end.
we get-
epilogue.
Do we get the black screen with the text here, or is it after
No, there's no black screen yet.
No,
not yet. Because what happens is what we get is
His monologue?
his monologue happens where he is essentially deciding he goes back to the island. It makes it seem like he's gonna go back.
I understand what you're saying. Yes, we do. Because
did they hit the 28 days?
it's after.
Oh, it's another
after
28 days later,
Yes, it's after Spike takes Isla. Anyways,
Yeah, but I thought so it's after that. So
I
he
think-
takes Isla to the island. It makes it seem like he's just gonna go and just take it. But I also think he understands too that like he probably is not gonna be accepted by the island. He basically like set them on fire and kidnapped the mom. But he like leaves the kid.
He also doesn't want now that he's experienced it.
Yeah. So he puts the kid in the basket, hangs it there, and then we get the 28 days later. So what we find out is that this is where we get
doing every movie. Let's go.
Yeah, so he gets the 28 days later. We get the cue of like, okay, he gives his monologue, which is essentially the letter that he leaves. That we find that it's the letter that he leaves for his dad and the community, which is like, don't worry about me, don't come back for me. I'll come back when I feel like I'm ready to come back. Essentially, he's like, I want to spend more time on the mainland to where I can go where I can't see the shoreline. Like I want to be able to go deep into the thing because I think he even really likes the idea of seeing like the houses and stuff like that. He knows there's like a place outside of their
And
little
the dad
huts.
books it.
Yeah, the dad
tries.
he tries to book it to the front gate because he thinks that
The
like
water's
he's still
just
there.
tied too high.
Yeah, tide's too
'Cause
high.
he makes it through he opens the gate.
Yeah.
And makes it to the tide.
Yeah.
Which
Again,
I don't know if he's been confirmed. I'm assuming he's in the second one also.
Probably.
Probably.
I guarantee you he
Bro, he's
is.
gonna. Spike's gonna walk through the towns when he finds Silly and let's get.
Yeah.
That's who's gonna save him.
Well, so we get that, and then just this whole monologue of him basically saying like, I'm staying on the mainland, so there can be
He
two more
leaves
movies.
So the reason why we keep saying Isla is because Spike names the baby
Isla after his mom. He wants to name it after his mom, and he's like, please treat her well. Like she's not infected, but she was born by an infected, which I think
That
probably
was
is
crazy.
crazy.
I was waiting for the mayor lady to come. Nope.
Kobe. And then we get the like really 28 days after, because all of that after they do that, it's not really 28 days later. 28 days later is when we see the next scene, which is him crossing a bridge and a waterfall, which is really pretty. And then we get the shot of him basically eating a fish. He catches a fish, and then he cooks the fish and is about to eat it. And then one or two infected come. Takes a couple shots, and then like more come, and he's like, "Oh, I'm all out of arrows." And so he's like,
and he gets like backed into a wall.
He like leaves, and then one of the zombies like, "I'm gonna." Oh, you know what else I want to point out, because you made a big deal about they don't call them zombies. The dude, the Swedish guy is like, yeah, the zombies. Like he physically says zombies. He says it, so it's confirmed. There's zombies.
He's a Swedish guy who doesn't know anything.
Swedish people don't know anything.
He said literally zombies was the term that he used.
But think about it. He's from the outside world who like has to justify quarantining this land.
He has to justify taking
Again,
them out.
dehumanizing. Yeah,
they're zombies. So he gets back into like really.
Zombie eats the fish.
You know what I said? Zombie eats his own fish. I hate that. This is one of those points where it's like, you can crawl on that. Like it's one of those, like it's a couple piles of boulders and rocks. I'm like, go up it or go around it.
Now,
It's
he's
not,
about
it's
to
really
defend,
not.
though. He said he got it.
He was gonna.
Yeah, he wasn't to defend, and then we get
It's
yeah,
absurd.
yeah,
It's absurd. I was like, what?
He like whistles or says something. He's like, then say like, "Oi!" And then like it's
like that.
it's basically a man with long, shaggy hair, ugly
Blonde.
teeth, and
Like
a Adidas tracksuit.
Yeah.
And he got the jewelry on.
The jewelry on,
and then
the necklace. They don't show the necklace fully yet, but he's like, "Hey." He's like, pretty good. He's like, you mind if we take a crack at it?
Right. Hey, you're pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, he's like, you mind if we, tag in? And there's like, okay. And then you just see a bunch of other Jimmies, like like almost like the zombies, right? The rest of his team comes up in their Adidas matching sweatsuits in different colors.
Hey, this is a guy from Sinners. I think we all knew that. But
Which one?
the main guy who plays Jimmy. He's the guy from Sinners. He's the vampire guy
Is he?
with the banjo.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Is he? No,
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I
is it
didn't know
really?
that.
I don't
No,
know.
I gotta look that up.
It
They're
is.
showing me right now. So basically, he's like, can we jump in? And they all have makeshift weapons, and they jump down. And this is where a lot of people hated the ending, because it like is a completely also different shift, and almost seems absurd. I think I almost looked at Ida too, and I was just like, what the?
That's why I
was
sent
like,
you
what
what
is-
I sent you.
Yeah, I was like, what is going on? But I realized the direction and why they did it, and it was because the idea was we find out that this is Jimmy because he at the end after these guys do kung fu fast action shots and I mean they fast forward too like the bad like fast forward like punches.
bro.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. He's from they basically the fighting can only be described as Power Rangers esque with the style.
I have commentary,
and they do even have like a couple times too where they like do karate and stuff, but they also bag the heads a couple times too, which is I think really cool that they're starting to realize that that's a thing to defend. Is like because the mom does it too, which is crazy. The mom did that
to keep the
blood. Yeah, but I mean they're doing it too. But the dad never did that. Like the dad.
Well, he never got up close. He never had to.
Yeah,
like hands-on combat.
hand-on. But the mom knew that, which was I thought was interesting.
We're getting the metal Teletubbies cover.
Yeah, that's
it hits like the normal one.
Yeah, they go ham. But they take out the zombies. And then, like Jimmy, the kid Spike is like in all right. He's like, "Whoa, like that's crazy." And then he's like, "Hey, I'm Jimmy. Let's be pals." And then that's where the movie ends.
Which I saw a lot of people commenting on this, like again in a negative way. Like a lot of people were like, "Oh, this took away a star from me" or whatever. It wasn't as abrupt as I was expecting it to be, like based on what people said, because it has the same filming style, like and. Which I know we're going to get into more. It makes sense to me considering the fact that, like, Jimmy and I'm assuming the rest of these people were all little kids. Like, their parents got taken away, so they grew up watching this. This is the only, like, combat they know or, like, people they look up to. If you do research, you know that Jimmy's modeled after a real-life person.
Yes.
I don't think we're going to... I don't know.
Probably won't touch it.
Yeah.
We'll just say that he's dead now, but he was a very... very bad person.
Especially, again, associating Jimmy around Spike, it makes sense for Jimmy to be like this because that would have been somebody he looked up to or like a really big figure in Britain at that time.
That time was before they found out how.
Right, like in this timeline, he never gets uncovered or whatever.
Yeah,
but the audience knows, especially because like I mean the movie.
Well, the British audience knows. We didn't know until the British audience told us.
Right.
I still don't know.
The British audience sees them and knows like, well, wait, these guys are bad.
Yeah. They're just foreshadowing too of like, I mean, you can just tell the guys like you can tell this guy.
It's tone at the end a little bit. You know?
Yeah, and it does show again he's wearing the crucifix, but it's upside down, which has a couple different meanings. We probably won't get into that.
And we saw the guy hanging earlier.
Yeah, that was also upside down. And it was also important. I didn't catch this the first time, but they also mentioned when Jimmy, as a kid, entered the church and the lighting reflecting off of it.
Upside down.
It was upside down.
Which
was the shadow of the cross is upside down.
Again, I didn't mind the ending.
I like the ending.
Just because, like, a lot of people were like, "Oh, they should have saved it for post-credit or whatever."
No,
maybe
it felt too Marvel.
The fact that this movie and the next one are filmed back to back and go into each other, it makes sense to end it on essentially like a cliffhanger, or like a preview.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It didn't feel. It makes sense to me that they're fighting like Power Rangers or whatever. Like,
so they're people going back to like how people are coping and dealing with it, right? So people had mentioned too that you see the progression of Spike, like basically him deciding he needs to leave the commune to save his mom and like take that on. That was really his point of like turning into like an adult, right?
He even leaves like in the beginning. We see him leave like the Power Ranger.
Behind. On the flip side, they're saying the reason why we can probably understand that Jimmy's probably not good is because he got the reverse side, because his dad failed him in the sense that like he accepted it and didn't protect his son really a little bit, but didn't really protect him. And accepted it. And for Jimmy, his way of coping with it was reverting back to what his heroes were, which were Power Rangers, and like basically living out his childhood dream, like never growing up. So I think that's the idea too, is like we can understand he's probably not a good person because he has stunted in that way that he hasn't progressed. So there's going to be ways of thinking that he probably does.
Kind of like a child, right? Doesn't know right from wrong.
Which we see in real life. Like that happens to people.
Yes. I will also throw out there, I don't believe this, but I think it is plausible. Another theory that's floating around is, if you notice, what is Cillian Murphy's name in the first movie? Jim. People are speculating that the legend of Jimmy is not actually that Jimmy, but it's actually his character. and that's how people know him. And maybe this Jimmy is riding off of that and using that as his way of that. That was just a theory that somebody threw out there. I thought that was a little out there, but they had mentioned for all the details that the director and the writer go into. It's probably a wise decision on why they named this character Jimmy, even though the other character's name is Jim. And he was referred to as Jimmy at one point in the movie. So that is a possible reason that they're going to bring him in. I think they said, I don't know if he's going to be in the third movie or the second movie, but he is going to...
So the director mentioned that he's going to have a similar role to Jimmy in this one, in the second movie. So like Murphy will be either at the end or play some kind of like...
small role.
Like cameo role.
Yeah.
But they even talk about like... The first movie, this movie's about like death or whatever. The second movie explores like evil.
It's the human evil. It goes back to the.
And then the third one's like redemption or whatever.
Yes, so that's a really big reason why too. I think it's a good, not that it's a good idea for them to choose to model Jimmy after who they did, but like that it's the enemy within. Kind of thing.
And they're all modeled that way. And in the credits, so
they're all Jimmy sisters. Yeah.
The guy they're named after is Sir Jimmy X, and this guy's name is Sir Jimmy. He has I don't remember his last name, but he's literally named the same way. And everybody in the gang is Jimmy. There's like one guy named Jimmy. Jimmy Bone.
Like there wasn't very many people in the credits. I know there's not very many people in the movie either, but I don't think a lot of people got credited. Like I think there was like maybe 15 names, and half of them were Jimmy. I was like, bro, they were in there for like 5 minutes, and then like there's like all these other characters that got screen time and like don't get credit.
Hey, I'm excited to see them in the second movie during the ninja tricks.
That was the divisive one. I know people had said that, but I guess we're going to ending thoughts, right?
I was gonna say I feel like we've talked about pros and cons as we've been discussing the plot. But is there any other final thoughts that y'all wanted to add in?
For me personally, I just think again, I think there was a lot in this movie to dig into, and I thought it was done well. The cinematography was good. I think when they did have the quick shots, they paid it off in a meaningful way, and I think that overall, like the direction they're going is pretty good. Even if the ending's a little silly. Somebody had mentioned it. Don't think of it as an ending, but think of it as a coda. It's basically a hanging fruit there for you to set you up for the next thing.
Like that too.
And I think that's important to note when watching this movie, and knowing that there's going to be some things that you're saying that are experimental and silly, but I think that there's a lot of good in there, and they're setting up a good, strong foundation to do another 2 movies, if that, even though they said they might. The third movie is predicating on if they make enough money, which I'm hoping they do. Is actually pretty good.
It seems like they're gonna.
I was gonna say, I think it did well.
This one opened pretty well.
What is it?
Right now it's at like $65 million.
It's a $60 million.
So like,
not good yet.
Well, it just came out, right? I don't know.
Right. This is the first. If the second one can hold the way this one is, I'm expecting it to get greenlit.
But that'd be on Shudder.
No.
I agree.
Shitty effects.
To be original.
No.
Hey, I'll take it. I agree with the like hanging coda thing, especially because this one's doing well. I don't think it's going to be a stranger situation. The next one's supposed to come out 6 months from now. I'm expecting it, or 7 months technically. I'm expecting it to come out in January of next year to like essentially not close off because there's a potential third one, but kind of bring these continuous stories before we see like the final ending. But ultimately I like the direction they're going. I feel like it explores like the idea of war or like death. It humanizes things. I feel like it brings. The first 2 movies don't feel very human in that we're getting explained to the virus. And, these really give you emotional feelings and dive deeper into
this one
a lot of stuff that
the first 2 feel absurd. Just looking at them like, this is silly.
I still like the first.
This one felt like a very good setup for a trilogy.
Yeah,
it felt. You can feel that
there's continuation.
It feels nice. I liked it. I don't really have anything to add besides what you said.
I guess I have one final quip. The reason I actually really also enjoyed this movie, and it's probably like a biased thing, but as I was watching it, since I play a lot of video games and some nerdy stuff, the movie kind of felt to me kind of like an RPG campaign. Like he was the main character, and like these weird characters that he meets along the way. They're very kind of like quirky and weird, and just like you meet the doctor who you think's weird and creepy, but he doesn't end up being weird. He kind of gives you this.
They did a good job of really focusing on him and like his art.
And like you meet the kid, right, that dies. Even at the end, it feels like kind of like a weird like you see these weird characters in RPGs and stuff like that, and that's kind of like why I was like, okay, it kind of sat for me. He was going on this like quest, and he kind of figured all this stuff out, and that's kind of one thing that kind of also made the movie for me as I was looking at it kind of through that lens. So that's just another plus that was for me. So that's kind of why I wasn't really put off by like the ending sequence and just some of the other weird stuff. So
I also want to add in just like I don't want to say worried about the next movie. This movie got my like hopes really high. I will say we all know the next movie is not directed by the same person.
I think that's what I'm worried about.
So the fact that they shot them back to back, but they're directed by different people. My fear is that it's not going to feel continuous or like he's still on as a producer. It has the same exact writer. The same writer wrote like all three of them potentially if it makes it to the third.
He did.
But I'm a little worried about it feeling like not continuous.
Has there ever been a movie where they change directors and it gets better? Which one?
Star Wars. A Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and whatever the fucking last one is. They were supposed to all have 3 different directors, but The Last Jedi did so bad, they brought J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, but he wrote the first one, so that still goes to my point. He wrote the first one, and they changed the second one, so it went bad.
But I think Boyle would direct the third one if they hit that.
I think so too.
So it would just be the bonus.
That's my thing. I've never had a sequel where the director changed and it got better.
Oh, like
I think the reason that they said Boyle wasn't directing this one is because of the time constraints. That's what I read. That's the only reason, because he was too focused on finishing up this one, so they needed.
So he can charge.
We critiqued. Hey, what do you mean 28 weeks was better than 28 days? They had a different.
It was barely. It was only because of the like.
I'm hoping because these are so close.
But Boyle wasn't 28 weeks.
Correct. That's what
but I'm saying it wasn't very much better. Remember, I said it was just like a slight step, but it still wasn't good.
We critiqued the 28 weeks director for trying to feel like almost copying the first one. In this case, I'm hoping that the director for 28 years later too tries to copy what was done in this movie. Bring the kill cam back, please.
He did. I think Boyle,
I think they will.
He did. He experimented really well.
Because they were shot back to back gives me hope that like
maybe they're like, hey, look at this, look at what we're doing.
Especially because they're using the same characters. It's like a proper sequel instead of.
I think we also heard a spoiler that somebody already got credited of being Samson's dad, so we're going to potentially get Samson backstory. And it's Jason Momoa.
See, RPG characters.
Shitty. Okay, so that was 28 years later. I hope y'all enjoyed this. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all the algorithm stuff. We really appreciate it. We are also going to take our mid-season break during this episode, so we will be back
28 years later. 28 weeks
later. No, we'll be back in the late summer, early fall. We haven't worked it out exactly yet, but until then, I hope you all have a nice day.